You can get started.
Get started?
Yeah, tell us how you met Grandpa.
Okay. Okay, when I was 9 years old, Grandpa and his family moved down the road, 3 or 4 houses down the road. And I see there was I didn't have any little kids to play with, so I noticed there was a little girl down there that looked like 11, 12 years old. So I walked down, and she come out to the road, and I said, "Hi, I live down the road. What's your name?" She said, "Lucille." I said, "Mine's Betty. Hey, do you like to play hopscotch?" Yeah, so we went out in the middle of the road and played hopscotch. And in the meantime, Grandpa came out and said, "What are you girls doing?" I said, "Oh, we're playing hopscotch." He said, "Hey, I know how to do that." And I said, "Yeah, I'll bet." And I thought, oh, he was so cute.
14
Such a good looking boy. He was such a good looking guy. And our kid, he was 5 years older than me, which is, I was
14.
9. He was 14 years old. And I said, "Do you go to school here?" And he said, "Yeah, I do." We started playing, and he found a little, his sister said, "Let's go on a hike." Lucille said, "We could go up to the butte." I said, "Oh, it's a long ways up there." I said, "I'll go." So I asked Mom if I could go, and she said yes. She said, "You can go, but watch out for snakes, because there is snakes up on the butte." And I said, "Don't worry, I'm scared of snakes." Well, anyway, we started, and your Grandpa came out. "Hey, where you girls going?" He said, "We're going to walk." Lucille said, "We don't need no boys." But they said, "I'll just tell behind you." Okay. Anyway, he found a little willow looking stick, and he'd go up and tap my butt. Every once in a while he'd say, "Hey, you gotta keep going a little faster." And I says, "No." And Lucille said, Lucille said, "Leave her alone." He said, "You shut up," and they got a little argument pretty soon. We got up there, and we had a lunch. Mom had made a big lunch. So I said, "There's enough here for all of us." And he scooted behind over by me and ate a sandwich. And on the way home, he just kept hanging behind me all the way home. I got home and I said, "Mom, that boy down there kept following me all the way up to my dad walked in and said, 'Oh, maybe he likes you.'" I said, "No." And anyway.
I use all that.
Anyway.
Like boys anyway.
So must have been about a week later, we all rode on the same bus. So he's in the seat beside me, so there was a lot of seats. He comes sit down beside me on the bus. And, "How you doing, Daddy?" And I said, "Fine." "How you doing?" "Oh, fine. Kind of miss going on hikes with you." I said, "Yeah, that was fun." And all of a sudden he come up and he knocked on the door. Yeah, I was 10 then.
He was
And
15.
I said, "Come on in." And he's come in and he said, whispered and said, "Would your mother let you go to the show?" And I said, "You better ask her." So he asked Mom. He said, "No, it's the show in town, and then I'll bring her right back." And I got a bicycle, and I'll pump her on the bicycle. So he put the way back, the front broke. And I went down on my butt. Then he helped pick me up, and he said, "I'm so sorry." He said, "This is an old rattle track thing anyhow, you know." And here he had to finish packing the rest of the bike up while he pulled me out of the bar. Anyway, we got home, and he said, "I'll walk you up the door," and I said, "No, it's okay." I was kind of bashful, bashful, you know. And I said, "That's okay." He said, "No, this is what they're supposed to do. Just walk them up to the door." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I really like you." I said, "I like you too." And so every day going to school, he'd even push a kid out of a seat so he could sit by me. Anyway, yeah. And then by the time he was taking me to shows in the meantime, and he'd always finally got to where he'd give me a hug and a kiss, and he'd say, "I sure liked you. Sure liked you." He'd never say love, he said, "I sure liked you." So then, he was, 16? 14, one of 14, 16. He found a guy that was going to sell him a car for $20. I mean, it was an old Chevrolet,
Frank.
four door, you know.
Frank.
Yeah, and so here he come in this blue car, and he said, "Guess what, baby? I can take you to the show now in a car." And Mama, she thought a lot of him. And I forgot. In the meantime, Grandma Packler would always cook meals, but she always cooked a little kettle about like this with about 8 kids to feed. And of course, he would stand back. I can remember so much. A bit of going down there, Santa's come down to see Lucille, you know, and they would run in to eat, and he would stand back. There wasn't anything left. He wouldn't eat. I mean, you just walk off. So I told my mom, and Mom would always say, Mama used to always say, "But tell him to come up here," and Mom would feed him, big time. And
That's what
anyway, he
Frank
got so attached to my mom and dad. He got so attached. Mom and Dad just thought he was just it, you know. And anyway, then he turned. Was it 18? I think he was 18.
Mom
And he
was
went
13.
into Stibnite and found a real big job. Was made big money at some place in Stibnite, Idaho. And when he come home, he said, "Would you go to town with me?" And I said, "Yeah." He went into this place and he bought me my first brand new dress. Mom always made all my clothes over from my sisters. She was pretty big and then but they got a little older, she would just, without dresses, she made mine over, made mine, and I could probably wore two or three of her dresses. But anyway, then he said, "Hey, let's go in this store." I said, "Okay." And he seen this real pretty dress. He said, "What size is that dress?" And it was something like a 6. And he said, "Hey, you want to go try it on back there?" I said, "I don't have money to buy that dress." He said, "I do." And he bought me my first new dress. And my first fur coat, as you see
The
in
bear
that
coat.
picture, this is before I was married to him. That he bought that, but I still wore that for quite a few years after. And anyway, so he had to go back.
Tell
He
you
come
that
home.
story till
You
she
know what he
burned
did?
it.
He went. He said, "Could you go back up to Stimner with me?" And I said, "Oh no, oh no! I still had the 8th grade to finish. I was in the 8th grade, and I said I still got to finish." And but ask Mama. Mom said, "Oh no, she can't. You're not married, or nothing." So when I finished that year, about 2 months later, he come down and asked Mama and Daddy if I could get married. Then I turned 14, or 13.
Yeah, 'cause you had
Yeah,
Dave at 14.
almost. Yeah.
Or 15. You had Dave at 15.
I think I was 14 when I married.
Yeah.
They said that, well, they'll have to both sign it. So Daddy had to come home from work early and sign, and Mama went in, found the sign for me
Just
to
the
get married. And then 3 months after I got married, I said, "Oh, I think I'm pregnant." That was
Dave.
I got pregnant 3 months after I got married with Dave. And the Army called him on. It was a draft, wartime, and they drafted him. It broke his heart. He said, "Honey, as soon as I can, they'll let me, if I can, and they'll let me, I'll find us a little house for that." And he couldn't do it at Denver. He couldn't do it in Denver, honey. I'm sorry. He couldn't do it in Denver because he was going to be transferred out there as soon as soon as he got done with these running and whatever they do. And so they sent him to Tonopah, Nevada, and he called me and talked to me, but he didn't tell me that he didn't have a place yet. So I missed him so bad. I caught a bus. I caught a bus and went down there and surprised him, and we had to stay with a friend of his. Had a room. He was in the Army, but he rented a room for him and his wife. And so there was 2 beds. And so he said, you guys can sleep in this other bed, okay. So we did. Then, about 2 or 3 days, then I come back home. And then, he kept writing me every day, "I love you and I miss you so much, I love you." I bet if I'd kept all them, it'd been 100,000 letters. And every one of them, "I'm missing you and I love you."
Did you have any left?
Huh?
Do you have any left, or are they just all lost? And
No, I think there's still letters somewhere up there.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought somebody found her.
Yeah, upstairs. in the
Anyway.
box.
I'd like to put that
Yeah,
in
he
the
was
book too.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I went down there. I called him and he couldn't find a house, so I told him that's okay. I'll stay here. So one of these days, you'll get to come home. He did get a 3 or 4 day leave and came home, which was bad, because I got pregnant.
Go
Yeah,
figure.
for sure. And then
I'm gonna
9 months
get with you
later,
when
Dave
to
come
see who looked at
along
her.
Yeah, pretty much. He looked wrong.
and looked just like his dad. And anyway, he I called him to told him I said, I called and told him, I said, you got a big sign, but I haven't named him yet, because I'm gonna leave it up to you. And he said, I had my little brother drowned and I loved him so much. And his name was David, so would you name him David? I said, yeah. He said, my best friend here is Michael, so David Michael. So he did. This is what he did.
I bet it's almost over.
How he got his name.
That's a good place to stop for now. I only got like limited space. Oh,
Anyway,
or no.